Hello wonderful people out there, it's Oliver Ochre here from Ochre Dev. So in today's tutorial we are going to build a URL Shortener API. So in the previous project we built a movie API clone, which is an OMDB API clone. So if you have not checked out that video, please kindly check it out. I'm going to link it up there so you can check it out. Okay, so if you don't know about what a URL shortener is, let's just take a preview of how it is like. So this is bit.ly.com. so it's a URL shortener website. So let's say I have this URL. Let me get a long URL. Let's say this URL, and I paste it here. I provide this URL to it. Then I click shorten. It is going to give me a shorter version of it. So let me copy it. So when I go to this URL, it should redirect me to this this link that I provided to it. Okay, so let's paste it here. Okay, let's check it out. So you can see it has redirected me to this place. You can see it has redirected me here. Okay, so that is what a URL shortener does. It takes a longer URL, shortens it, and whenever that shortened URL is hit, it redirects it to the original URL. Okay, so let's take a preview of what we are going to build and how it's going to look like when we are done building it. Okay, so this is the Swagger endpoint. So this is how the Swagger endpoint is going to look like, and this is how the Redoc endpoint is going to look like. Okay, so this is it, the implementation of it. But let me show you how I have implemented it, or how I've used the API. Okay, so I built this static front end app which consumes the API. So it basically does what bit.ly also does. Okay, so this is where we will shorten ours. So let's go grab the same URL. Okay, copy this and let's paste it here, and let's click shorten it. Give it a few seconds. You see it shortens it and gives us a shortened version of it. Let's copy it and let's go to the same. Let's close this down. Let's open a new tab. So this is the shortened URL. So when you go to this URL, it should redirect us to my GitHub where the bit.ly clone repository is at. Okay, so let's enter. You see it has also redirected us to the bit.ly URL, bit.ly repository clone. Okay, so guys, this is basically what we are going to build in this project. Okay, so before we go ahead, I want you guys to know that I've gone ahead of myself as usual, and I've prepared the starter files for this project. So this is the starter file. So you just come to the repository link. I'm going to leave it inside the description below. So just come here, click on this green button here, clone it with git clone with this URL. Okay, then when you are done, you come to this to commit here, click on the to commit. Okay, it's going to open up this log here, this git commit log. Then grab this first one here, copy the hash here. So for you to get, when I'm done with the whole project, I'm going to commit the all the files or all the code to this repository. So when you come here, it will change. The code here will change. It will not be the starter files, but it will be the final project. So you just come here, you copy this hash here, then you go into your terminal, then you type git space reset -- hard, then you space and you paste the hash that you copied from here. I'm going to leave the the command here also, and also inside the description below, so that you can do same. Okay, so let's jump into Visual Studio Code and let's code this thing up. All right, so before we go ahead, I would like to give you some explanation about what I did with the starter files, how I generated it. So I generated it with Django admin, Django admin starts project. Then I gave it the name. So the name is bit.ly clone, bit.ly API clone. Okay. So when I was done, I created an app with Python manage.py API, Python manage.py start app API. Okay. So I made some few changes inside the settings.py. Okay, so let's check it out. So the thing I changed was I added the REST framework. We are going to use the Django Rest framework for this project, so I added it to the installed app, and I also added the app that we just created, which is the API app, to the installed app. Okay, and also inside the urls.py file, you can see I have added an endpoint to an API, which includes API.urls. API.urls. Okay, let's just clear this one off here so we have more space. All right. So you are pointing API.urls, or you are pointing this endpoint to API.urls, but it doesn't exist yet. So let's create that one first. Let's create that one right now. So urls.py. All right. So inside this urls.py, we are supposed to have an app name. We are supposed to have an app name. So we are going to call our app API. And the next thing it's supposed to have is URL patterns. URL patterns, which is supposed to be a list. Okay, so now we have our projects running. Okay, so the final thing I want to talk about is the .env template. So because I don't want to commit a .env file, or for us to commit our .env file to GitHub, which is being watched by Shigit and other services. So I made a .env template. So you just come here, you rename this .env template to .env. So just take off the underscore template. All right, just that, and you are fine. All right, so let's just close this. It just has the secret key in it, so that the secret key won't be stored in the main project. All right, guys, so let's jump into the model and the API app, and start modeling our API. Okay, so let's go to the model. Okay, so you are going to create a database table for the links that will be created. So we are going to call it link. The table will be called link. So it's going to inherit from models.model. So then we are going to have the original link, which is going to be a models.url field. Models.url field. Then we are going to have the shortened link. Shortened link. That one too is also going to be a models.url field. All right. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is this thing, we want to make this thing blank true, because the user will not provide won't provide the shortened link. So we are going to make it blank true, and null also equal to true. All right. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is handle the shortening of the logic for the shortening of the link. All right. So inside the model, we are going to create a method. So def shortener. It's going to take self. Okay. So what you are going to check is that whilst true, and I'm going to tell you why we use the while loop very shortly. Whilst true, we are going to generate a random string. So we are going to use, let's use string dot join. All right, and it's going to use random. So we have to import it. Let's import from random import choices. Then the next thing we are going to import is from strings. Sorry, not strings. I don't even know what strings is. For strings, import ASCII. No, string. It's supposed to be string. Import ASCII letters. All right. So we are going to, this one is all the ASCII letters is all the letters in the alphabet, the one with the lower case ones and the uppercase ones, and this one is random choices. So random choices select a group of choices from a list, okay, so or from an iterable. So you are going to use random choices to select a random string or a random set of strings or letters from this ASCII letters. Okay, let's jump into the code and let me show it to you more clearly. Okay, so you are going to use random choices. So choices, then the iterable is going to use is the ASCII letter. The ASCII letter we just imported. Then it takes another parameter is the key. The key is the number of letters or the number of choices it should select from the iterable. So in this case, you are going to use 6. Okay, 6. All right. So this is how it's going to be like. All right. So in this case, you are going to select 6 random letters from the upper case and lower case alphabet. Then we are going to join it together because it is going to give us a list. The choices is going to give us a list. Join it together and make it a string. All right. So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to create the new link. The new link is equal to settings.host underscore URL plus we are forming our link here. So the host URL is going to be the URL on which we are being hosted on. Okay. So local whilst you are in production, this one is going to be localhost, which you are going to define inside our settings.py file very shortly. Okay. Then we are going to add on the random string which we have generated. All right. So the next thing we want to do is we want to check if this new link that we have generated already exists inside the database already. So the next thing you are going to do is if not link dot object dot filter, and you are filtering with the shortened, this shortened link here. Oh, sorry about that. Are shortening with this thing here. So you are filtering to check whether there's a shortened link that exists with this new link which we have just created. Okay, I can see we have some error. We will fix that very soon with this new link that we just created. So this one is not supposed to be here. Sorry about that. Okay, so you are going to check if there is a link that exists inside the database with this new link that we just created. Okay, so we tap on the exist, we check whether it exists. So if it exists, it's going to give us true, but we have placed a not here. So if it does not exist, then we want to break out of the loop. That's why we use the while loop. So if it checks and it exists, then it is going to come back, then regenerate a new random string, then generate a new link, then check whether it exists. If it does not exist, then it is going to break out. Okay, that's why we are using a random string. It is very highly impossible that it is going to exist, because using 6 per my calculation, you are supposed to have like a billion or something links randomly. Okay, so it's highly impossible it will exist, but to be safe, we are using it so that we don't get into any problems. All right, so when you are done, we want to return the new link that we have created. So return new link. All right, so this is the logic that is going to shorten the link for us. All right, so now when do we want to shorten the link? We want to shorten it on the save. So when a person sends sends an original link to our database, it sends a request to our database, it is going to have just the shortened link. So when you are going to save it to the database is supposed to have an original link and a shortened link, which if the person comes to the shortened link, we are going to redirect the person to the original link. So you are supposed to have a shortened link that is pointing to the original link. So let's do that. So we are going to override the save method. Okay, so it's going to take self, then ax and quax. Ax and quax. All right, so the next thing I'm going to check that if self dot shorten link, so this one is going to check whether it has it or not. But if it is not, so if it is false, it is going to be this, because of this not, it is going to make it true. Okay, the same as what we checked here. So if it checks and it does not exist, it is going to be true because of this not, and it is going to break out. Same for this one. When you check the model that is about to be saved, or the model instance that is about to be saved, and it does not have a shortened link, which is going to be false, this, because of this not, it is going to make it true. So if it is true, what do you want to do? We want to add a new link to it. So we are going to generate a new link. A new link, which is going to be, we are going to use the self dot shortener. So the shortener, okay, it takes nothing. All right, then since you are returning the new link here, when you receive the new link inside this variable new link here, you want to add it to the model instance that is about to be created, so that it will be saved for it. Okay, so the next thing we do is add it. So self dot shortener shortened link is equal to new link. Is equal to new link. Then when you are done, we return a super call. A super call of save, which takes args, and quarks. Okay, all right, so we are done with our model part. So as you can see, we have this logic that shortens the URL, and we have overridden we have override the save method. Sorry about that, guys. So you can see it is asking for the settings, what the setting is. So let's import settings. So from django.conf import settings. Okay, so now we can save it. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is let's jump into our views and start writing our view for the API. Okay, so this is our views. So we are going to have 3 views. One is going to list all the shortened links or the links inside the database. The second one is going to create a new shortened link, and the last one is what is going to redirect us to the original link. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is let's import from REST framework generics. Okay, so from REST framework dot generic import list API view. All right, then the next thing I'm going to import is the create API view. Okay, let's get rid of this from here. Okay, so you could have just used the list create API view, but I want to make it a little bit clearer. That's why I'm using them separately. All right, so the first one I'm going to create is the shortener. Shortener list API view, which is going to inherit from the list API view. So the list API views require 2 things for it to work, 2 basic things to work. The first thing is the query set, and the second thing is the serializer class. Okay, so the query set, since we are listing out the shortened links or the links that are inside the database, it is going to be link dot object dot or. Okay, so we need to import in link. So from models import link, right? So we have link here. So the next thing we need is the serializer class. So if you are new to REST framework, the serializer class is what is going to serialize our data between the Django REST framework and the browser. Okay, so the browser is supposed to receive the response from the back end as in JSON, and the back end, which is Django, is supposed to receive the request from the browser as a native dictionary. So the serializer class here is what is going to serialize the data from JSON to Python's native dictionary, and from Python native dictionary to JSON. I hope you get what I'm trying to say. Okay, so it's going to be link serializer. Link serializer is, we are going to create it very shortly, so don't worry about it. And you are going, it's very simple to create. So inside our API app, let's create a new file called serializer.py. all right. Okay, so our serializer.api has been created. So the first thing we are going to do is import from REST framework.serializer. Okay, so import. So from REST framework.serializer, we can import a lot of different serializers. We have model serializer, we have serializer itself, which you are going to create your own serializer, but in this case you are going to use model serializer. So it is just like using Django forms, where you have from Django.forms and from Django.form model form. So this is just like the same concept. Okay, so we are going to create the link serializer. So you notice that it is almost the same as creating a model form in Django itself. So I'm going to have it here, and the next thing we need is the class meta. Class meta like this. Then what the class meta needs is the model. Which model are we using? Which is the link model. So let's import link from .models, import link. Okay, so, and we are going to give it the field that it should use. Oh, sorry. Okay, so the field is going, you are going to use all, so you are going to use this, since you have the shortener and then the original link, and it is also going to add the ID to it. Okay, so this is it. We are done with the serializer. Very simple. So this is the basic model serializer. Okay, so we are going to use this to serialize our data between the request to the front, the request from the browser, and the response to the browser. Okay, so let's import it. So from .serializer, import link serializer. Okay, so you can see we are done with the list API view. Let's move to the create API view. So class shortener create API view, which is going to inherit from it's going to inherit from the create API view. So the create API view just need one thing for it to function, the serializer class, so that it will be able to serialize the data between from the browser and the back end. Okay, I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. All right, so let's give it a serializer class. So the serializer class, you are going to also still use the link serializer because it almost does the same thing as what you want the API view to do. Okay, so we are done with the two API views. Okay, so these are the two API views, very simple and very short because you are using the REST framework generic views. Okay, guys, please try and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Give a thumbs up to the video and comment below. It's really going to help with the YouTube algorithm. Okay, all right, so the next thing we are going to do is the redirector view. So the redirector view, we are going to use the normal Django view. So let's import it from Django.views, import view. All right, so for this our view, it is just only going to accept a get request. So let's define a get. The get is going to take self, take a request, request is going to take a shortener link, and it's going to accept args and quarks. Okay, so now we are writing the redirector view now. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is we want to form the shortener link which was used to come to the redirector view. So shortener link is going to be equal to settings.host underscore URL, just like what we did inside the models.py file, plus, so I'm going to concatenate the strings together. Okay, so then you are going to get the shortener link. Okay, so you're going to use self.quarks self.quarks, then we get shortener. You could directly use this shortener link here, but I just want to use this way, shortener link this way. All right, so this is the link that was used to access the endpoint or the redirector view. All right, so since we have that link or that shortened link, we want to query our database and find the original link itself. So you're going to call that one the redirect link. The redirect link is going to be, you are going to filter out the link model, link.object.filter. They are going to filter the one with the shortener, link equal to the new shortener link we just created. All right, so when you are done, it is going to return to us a list. So we want to get the first one because it is only going to have just one entry or one member in it. When you have that particular first object in it, then the next thing we want to get is the original link. So we get the original link, original underscore link. Okay, so now you have the original link here. Since you have the original link here, what you want to do is you want to redirect the person to the original link. Okay, so it's going to be, you are going to return a redirect. Okay, so you can see redirect has been imported from Django.shortcuts for me. So this is redirect. All right, So the redirect wants, as you can see from here, it wants a to link, which is where it's supposed to redirect the person to. So it's going to be redirect to the redirect link we just got from our database. Redirect to. All right. So this is the view that is going to handle the redirection of our user to the correct or to the original link that they want. So let's save it and let's import in settings because it's giving us a flag here. So from Django.conf import settings. All right, so now you have all our three views. The next thing we are going to do is you are going to jump into the urls.py files and create some endpoints there. All right, so let's jump into the urls.py file we just created, which is here. Okay, this is it. So the first thing you're going to do is you are going to import path as usual. Okay, so from Django.urls import path. All right, now we have path here, so you're going to use path. So when it goes to the root URL of the API endpoint, you want to give it the list, the shortener list API view. Okay, so guys, you can see it has been imported. I am using a VS Code extension, that's why it is importing it for me automatically. That's why. So and give it a name of all links. The next part we are going to do is the create endpoint. So it's going to be create. No, not create. Create. Then it's going to use the about shortener create API view. All right, then we are going to give it a name that is going to be create _ API. All right, so let's jump into our terminal and start it up and let's see how far we have gotten. So first I'm going to sort in my .env file first before I get into any errors. Okay, so you can see we have some error inside our .env file. So if you get a similar one, just go into the .env file, then take out the space. Okay, shouldn't be any space there. Then let's go back to the terminal. Let's rerun it again. Okay, it's worked. So let me clear it. Let me start the server. So before we start the server, the first thing you're going to do is you have created a new Django model, which is the link table. So you are going to make migrations. When you are done with the migrations, after you are done making the migration, you are going to migrate it. Okay, so Python manage.py make migrations. Okay, so our migrations have been made. So let's migrate it now. Python manage.py migrate. Okay, our migrations are being migrated. Guys, please, if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. We'll be building a lot of projects. So in the last project, we built a movie a movie API or an OMDB API clone, and today we are building a URL shortener clone. So there are lots of projects that are coming up, so please consider subscribing. And if you want to support me, please click on the like button there, comment in the comment section below. It's really going to help with the YouTube algorithm. Okay, so let's start the server. So python manage.py run server. Okay, so we don't have any errors. We have our URL, so let's go to the endpoint. So it's going to be localhost port 8000/API, if you remember. So let's go to the endpoint. Okay, and you are beginning to get an error, and it says init_sticks1 positional. Okay, so I know where the error is coming from. Sorry about that, guys. So let's close down this terminal. So inside the urls.py file here, we just called it. Because you are using class-based views, you are supposed to call the .asView on it. So .asView, call the method on it, and let's save it. Now let's go back and check whether our API is going to work. And voila, it's working. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do, this is the list API view. So let's go to the create API view. I don't like how this thing is spelled here, so let me change it right now. Let's go to the views. Is this guy? I want it to be a capital I. All right. Okay, so let's jump back into the browser. Let's refresh it once again. Oh, we are going to get an error. I expected it. So inside the urls.py file, let's change that one to change this one too. All right, so this time around we are ready for action. Okay, now we have something nice. Okay, so the next thing you are going to do is go to the create endpoint, create. All right, so you can see at the shortener create, and you can see we have been provided with original link and the shortener link. Okay, so the user is going to just make a post to the endpoint with just the original link, and we are going to return it to the person the shortened link. So let me grab the URL from here, and let's come back to our API. Let's test it out. Let's make a post. Okay, so you can see we are having an error. It says settings that host URL cannot be found. So we have an attribute error. It's because you have not defined the settings, the host URL inside the settings file. So let's jump into the settings.py file. Let's move to the bottom. Let's leave a comment, config. We're going to call host. Let's create the variable host URL. It's going to be equal to http //localhost 127.0.0.1. okay, like this. So this is it. This is our host URL. Let's go back and try it once again. This time around, I know, fingers crossed, it's going to work. Okay, so let's try once again and make a post. And voila, it's working. Guys, we have our shortened our shortened link here. So you can see it, our host with a shortened link. It is more shorter than the one we provided it. Okay, so now we have the shortening abilities. Now we want to work on the redirecting of the person if the person hits this endpoint. Okay, even though we have created the view, we have not yet added it to our API or our URLs, so it won't be able to handle it. So we have the URLs which is inside the app or the API app, and the URL that is inside the root project. You are going to add the link that redirects to the original link, to the URLs inside the root project. Okay, so you are going to import that view. So from api.views, import redirector view, redirector. Okay, we are not placing it inside the URLs inside the API app, because it will need to be local our host /API/ the shortened link, which is going to make it more longer. That's why you are placing it inside or directly inside the root project or the root URL. So path, you're going to create a path that is going to take a string. The name of the string is going to be shorten, or the shortener link, like so. And when you receive an entry like this, it's supposed to use the redirector view, and you are supposed to call the .asView on it because it's a class-based view. All right, then let's give it a name of redirector. Okay, let's save it. Okay, so now this is the endpoint that is going to handle redirection in our API. Okay, so let's go back and let's try out this one here. Let's open it in a new tab, and we got host URL, or request URL was not found on a server. Okay, so that's where we are getting the error from. So from the settings, the PY file, our host URL is not this this localhost. It's localhost port 8000. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So let's go back and create a new link. So let's grab the same URL from here, go back here, and let's paste it here. Let's make a post. Okay, so now we have a new shortened link. Let me make my screen a little bit larger so I can see. All right, so this is it. So let's redirect to the endpoint and see whether it's going to work. Okay, so we have an error and it says choices shortened link. Okay, shortener link not found. Okay, so I think I know where the error is coming from. Let's jump into our views. So here we are using a shortener link. So let's compare them. Let's check the model. So inside the shortener inside the model, we are calling it shortened link here, not shortener link. So that's where the error is coming from. Let's grab this guy here and let's jump into our view. Let's jump into our view. So we are going to use that one to filter. just this way. Okay, so let's go back and let's rerun it again and see whether it's going to work. Okay, you can see we have been redirected, by my internet just failed me, that's why. Oh, sorry about that. You have been redirected, but my internet is having problems. Okay, so let me just switch to a new Wi-Fi. Okay, so the redirection is working. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay, you can see it has been redirected. I'm very sorry about that, guys. Okay, you let me open it again so you'll be able to assess for yourself. So let's open it in a new tab. Okay, you can see you have been redirected to the original link. Okay, so guys, you are almost done with the project. You are almost done. So the final thing I want us to add is the documentation part, and you are going to use this package here, DRFYA. I don't know how to pronounce it. Yet another Swagger generator. This is the documentation generator we are going to use. Okay, so these are the requirements. You need this requirement, so make sure you meet it. And from there, let's scroll down, go to the installation. So inside your command prompt or inside your terminal, you enter this command pip install -u. I've already done that. So when you are done, you copy this one here, this link here, this app here, then add it to the settings.py file, the installed app. So let's place it right beneath this framework like this. All right, let's save it. The next thing we are going to do is very simple to use this thing. The next thing we are going to do is import these things. Let's import these guys here into our URLs. So go to the root URL where we added the redirector, then import it here. All right, import these things, save it. The next thing we are going to do is copy these things, go back to VS Code, then paste it beneath this guy here. Okay, so we are going to make some minor changes. Let's change this thing to the name of our project, bit.ly.com API clone. Okay, you can change the description and other stuff to suit you. Then the final thing we need is this URLs. Okay, so let's copy this to this 3 here, even though we are going to use just 2 of them. So let's come here, we are going to paste them. They said we should paste them at the top of the other one, so let's go up here and paste it here like this, like so. All right, so we are going to change this URLs to path. Okay, so let's do that quickly. All right. Okay, so we are not going to use this Swagger JSON. So let's just get it off. Let's get it off. Okay, so it seems we are done. So let's save it. Okay, let's go back into our browser and check whether it's going to work. Okay, so that one is going to be in the root. Let's clear this. Go to Swagger, localhost port 8000 Swagger, hit and enter. Okay, seems it worked. Minutes. See, it worked. Okay, so you see we have our endpoints here, and you can even test it out. You see, it shows you the enforcement that was used at the back end. It tells you that this one is required. Okay, and it tells you that to get all the APIs, it's get and to create a new API, to create a new shortener, it's use the /create endpoint. Okay, so it's very helpful when you are working with other developers too. So let's go to the redoc and check whether that one too worked. Guys, we are almost done. /redoc. Okay, so it's loading up. Guys, please, if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. We are going to build more wonderful projects. Okay, so you see, it also gives us the enforcement and how to use the API. These are some examples and some responses, how the responses are going to look like. Okay, so this is it. Okay, so I think this is the end of the project. So you can build on this project. You can even build a front end for it, just as I did, which is being utilized here. I just built a front end and used the API as the back end. That's JavaScript makes the request to it, and it returns it the shortened link, which works perfectly. So before we go, I want us to close it with by creating some URLs, then redirecting it to that place. So API /create. Okay, so you are going to redirect to HTTPS. So let's just use this one here, and you are going to leave the shortener empty, then click on post. Okay, so our shortener link has been generated for us, so let's redirect to that place. New tab. The tab has been opened here, and you are being redirected to the course header website. That is very wonderful, guys. We are done with the project. You can check out some of the tutorial that we have created, or the last tutorial which we created, which was the OMDB API. Thank you for spending your time with me, and so I hope you meet in my next project. So bye.